Yeah.
And now I have to, try and reach out over the socials if I'm asking anybody questions. But all in all, it's been a hell of a week, man. At the 4th of July and all the stuff that's went on in wrestling.
Yeah, but before we get into that, I want a big thank you to our sponsors at World League Wrestling, Jim Chineri Chevrolet in Troy, Jim Chineri Ford in Moscow Mills, Impact Digital Designs, CT Harrison Business Solutions, and Traveling East Productions, and a $20 bill I found in my laundry this morning. So
there you go.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing.
We are broadcasting to you live from the Traveling East Productions Dungeon Studio during the COVID situation.
And it's a great place to be when it's hot and sunny outside like it is now. It's nice and cool in the dungeon.
Big hello to Austin, Sarge, Jerry. Who else do I see in there talking? Yeah, those are the ones I see talking anyways. But hello to all of our listeners, all the fans. Great show today. Here in just a little bit, we will have the Jack Gamble on the show live.
This ought to be
That'll be
fun.
Interesting. That will be interesting. Yeah, this week in wrestling, a lot of things going on.
A lot of things. Hard to keep track of, even though I was trying.
Biggest one being, if any of you saw, it seems like WWE has purchased Evolve.
I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
Not too deep into the details of it, but hey, who knows?
I didn't get a chance to really watch Evolve a whole lot. It wasn't on. It wasn't on any of my programming that I was able to get.
Right.
So I didn't get a chance to do that. I do know also our friends over at Championship Wrestling are gearing up to get moving again.
That's right.
Big shout out to David Marquez.
There was one match that stood out to me, and then there was a couple of things from Raw and SmackDown.
What stood out?
Well, now,
from you mean from Fyter Fest and
yeah, from Fyter Fest. I thought that Sheeta versus Penelope Ford just blew the whole show out of the water.
I haven't watched it yet, but I look forward to that one. I was listening to another podcast this morning to Dave LaGreca.
Right.
It Busted Open, and they were talking about it, and they said it was just a knockout match.
It was an awesome match. It stole the show for me.
Good.
I'm also kind of thinking about this match between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. They're still building this swamp
thing.
match.
I don't know how that's going to go.
Well, you've had winners and losers with this kind of thing that they're doing. I mean, the Boneyard match, definitely a winner. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. But then Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt, not really that great. Then you go back to the projecting, like, horror story tropes onto the mat while they're wrestling with Bray Wyatt and John Cena, also a lose.
Right.
But I'm kind of intrigued as to how this swamp match is going to play out. I'd like to see Bray Wyatt win personally, because I think he has a better way with the fans than Braun Strowman does right now. And Braun Strowman, big guy, strong guy, can wrestle his butt off. It just doesn't seem to be connecting to the fans. And then you got Bray Wyatt, who takes time off and disappears for long periods of time. And the second he's there, he's got those fans right behind him in the palm of his hand again.
Yeah, he's got the whole world in his hand, my friend.
So, and also, I'm a little excited for Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler.
See, I'm not.
They can both tear the house down when they want to.
Yeah, but it's just what they've done with Dolph Ziggler over the last couple of years. It's going to take one. I don't know. It's going to take a lot to get me invested in that.
Right. You get up for Dolph Ziggler, and then it kind of falls down again. You can blame it on. You can blame it on whatever you want to, but he's definitely been kind of a up and down kind of superstar for WWE.
One of the biggest things in the news right now is there's a couple. I mean, well, of course, we had a lot of released WWE talent who are finding homes elsewhere.
That's right.
One of the big ones was Anderson and Gallows. Speculation of them going to, I believe it's Impact. Okay. Which is weird because now they're playing up little hints of the Aces and Eights thing on Impact again. And then also at the same time, Bully Ray no longer being with ROH, again, during a time when they're playing up the Aces and Eights thing on Impact. So you got Gallows.
Right.
And Bully.
I honestly feel like it can only help the product. I do not get to see it very much, but just the reputation, the skill level, whatever you want to call it, of Gallows and Anderson and Bully Ray, it can only make a show better. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the talent level, the how hard is it going to be to get wins in Impact with those three around, and if they're associated with each other?
I think my biggest problem is that with AXS, their television is really kind of poor as far as, like, there's a lot of markets that don't get it, and so and I'm one of them. I don't get AXS, so I don't get to watch Impact.
Right, all I get from Impact is on YouTube, so I don't know that much about what's going on either.
Joel, I hope we come back too, real soon. I just had to throw that out there. Joel said he hopes to come back to Camdenton, and I hope we do too. As soon as all this COVID stuff is over, I guarantee you, I'm sure, it's on the list.
Yeah, I hate to use a old wrestling trope over much, but World League Wrestling, we are road warriors, folks.
Oh, yeah.
We get out there and we travel, and that's one of the things that's really slowing us down and has stopped us in the last couple of months is that we can't travel around Missouri and give everybody a good chance to see our product live. But we're hopeful, we're excited, and we're ambitious. We're ready to do it.
One more thing, real quick, I guess, is another free agent now being released, of course, from Impact is Tessa Blanchard.
Another free agent that, changes the scope of any women's division that she gets into. She's won a men's title, so
heavyweight
she could
champion.
change that too.
Yeah.
Although I don't see her dethroning.
What were you saying something about earlier that she's not allowed to talk about?
Yeah, she's got a no discussion clause for Impact, I think it is, or you can't give them any bad press or something.
Oh.
Which, in my opinion, from a company position, seems like a smart choice. A defamation thing. The no defamation is what it was called.
Okay. Which could very easily happen, I guess.
Ms. Sarge thinks we're going to see her in AEW.
You could. I would say my guesses would be the only two places I would personally like to see her go is either AEW or NXT.
Oh, she'd tear it up in NXT. There's a
would.
lot of women that she could put on a great show
yeah.
with. I'm fairly certain that Vince is not going to run her into a men's division. But, I mean,
I don't know. You did it with China.
Finn Balor, Adam Cole versus Tessa Blanchard. Who knows? Could be a great match.
See, I hadn't thought about that one.
Like I said, I can't see it as believable her wrestling Drew McIntyre or Braun Strowman.
Oh, goodness gracious. You got a Colton Theron Vaught in the chat now.
Well, the chat just got more lively for certain. We might need to hold it down so it don't rock off of the table.
Well, it's Colton. What do you do? I tell you what you do. First thing you do is we announce that on this following Saturday, July 11th, World League Wrestling is back in the Race Wrestling Arena.
So excited.
Doors open at 6. Bell time is at 7. We already have some stuff announced for that as well. Some matches.
That's right. We got John Webb versus Moses.
Great. That's going to be good.
We've got junior heavyweight champion Sean Patrick.
Raheem. Against Raheem De La
Right.
Suede.
And that I'm sorry. That's you better watch this match. If you don't watch for this one, you're probably going to miss out on a lot, because those two,
Yeah.
they got a
Yeah.
lot to prove, and they're proving it.
Absolutely.
Just like
Who
Colton
else?
Thayer and Vaught there.
What else we got?
Now the
Stephon Newton.
yes, Stephon Newton is wrestling against Z.C. Hendricks, I think.
Is it? I thought it was Jack.
I'm not sure. Jack Gamble, that's right. That's right, because, yeah, I'm sorry, because of the Twitter stuff. You know, sometimes I get a little, I do not know these matches before they're happening, folks.
See?
I get told day of which ones I'm reffing, and that's when I start super hyper focusing on it.
Yes. So, but speaking of that, on the show today, a former multi-time World League Wrestling Tag Team Champion in Jack Gamble. So, let's see if we can pull him up and see what Mr. Gamble's doing right now. See if he's got time for us peasants. Let's give him a call. Let's see.
Hola,
Jack
Mateos.
Gamble.
How's it going?
How's it going, bud?
Not too bad.
How's things in your neck of the woods? Everybody safe and healthy and staying in themselves?
Of course, Corona's not real.
Corona's,
Of course, we're all
let's not
healthy,
do
yeah.
that. Let's not do that. Oh no! You know what? And I just got corrected. I got to say this again. It was Stephon Newton is taking on Kyle Roberts.
Kyle Roberts.
Yeah, I was just chastised.
No
and
kicking
told
Kyle.
and told that my paycheck would be half as much as it was 3 years ago.
Uh-oh.
So we're saying that.
Huh.
Anyways, half of nothing is nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jack, good to hear from you, man. You ready to get back to work? You ready to get back to the ring?
Oh, dude, I am so ready. I'm so
Yeah.
ready just to be back to, what we call normal. Beating each
Yeah.
other up for entertainment value.
Entertainment value. Sure. Absolutely. Well, I tell you
Yeah.
what, let's go back and let's start from the very beginning.
Okay.
What made Jack Gamble want to be a wrestler? Where in the world did that come from for you?
Oh, Jack Gamble wanted to be a wrestler because of Shawn Michaels.
Ah,
Shawn Michaels, I seen him on TV. I want to say it was versus Vader or something, and he was so flamboyant and over the top. I was like, yeah, I want to be that. That's what I want to do.
very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
And then from there, I guess, at what age were you when you decided to actually pull the trigger and do it?
Well, there's a funny story there. My dad and mom were always very supportive of me becoming a professional wrestler. I even they built me a wrestling ring in my backyard. And we had shows and people came from all around town to watch all these young kids, be stupid and beat each other up. But when I turned 16, I showed up to Harley Race Wrestling Academy when it was still on Maple Street here in Eldon. And I did the tryout, and, I did well because at that time I was in very good shape from all my martial arts training. I believe Trevor Murdoch was there, Darren Wade, a handful of other guys were there. And I was golden until BJ found out how old I was. She was like, absolutely not. You come back in 2 years and then we'll talk.
Oh,
So
no.
my dreams were crushed. But I mean, I get it from an insurance purpose. And in the state of Missouri, you can't wrestle at the age of 16. Like, you can't be licensed. So I would have just trained and got my body tore up for 2 years with no actual payoff. So I decided to wait. And then when I turned 18, I moved to Eldon and bought a house and then saved up money for the training school and then went there in like June of 2009, I believe, and started training.
Getting to train with, of course, the legendary Harley Race, our boss. What was that like for you?
It was, it was different because
Nerve-wracking?
Harley, like, you know, what?
Nerve-wracking?
Yes, and like, I didn't know Harley, but I got to know him real well when I was training there. But he is very, I guess, methodical. He thinks about everything you said to him, and then he waits a second. And like, I'd ask him a question, and he'd sit there. He'd sit there, and he'd run his pencil through his notebook for a second. And I'm like, do I need to repeat the question? Does he not understand me? And then he'd be like, well, this is how I would do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he was processing it. So it was very intimidating just to stand there and like wait for an answer from him.
But you always knew you were going to get the right answer because of the way he did that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything he ever told, because I have one funny story. When I was starting first venturing out outside of WLW, I don't know if you guys know or people listening know, but like I call it the wet fish handshake.
Yeah.
It's like they have a wet fish, and like I know back in the day, it meant you worked light or whatever the meaning was. And I went to Harley directly and was like, I don't feel comfortable shaking hands like that. And he goes, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, shake their damn hand like a man. I said, yes, sir. That's how I'll do it from now on.
A lot of people don't realize or know really, but Harley had a meaty handshake, man.
Oh, he was a beast. He'd love to trick you into playing Mercy with him, and then he'd make you cry.
Oh yeah, I've heard many
Right.
stories about his tricking people into playing Mercy.
Oh yeah, because you think, definitely like towards his later years when he's like in a wheelchair, you're like, I can get this old man no problem. But I'd watch him drop, 270, 280 pound guys to their knees, and I'm like, yeah, see, that's why I don't fuck with Harley.
Yeah, because see, he he'd be squeezing the life out of you with one hand and smoking a cigarette with the other.
Right, as he's laughing.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Good
taught
time.
to give a firm handshake, and Harley redefined firm handshake when I first shook
Right.
his hand.
So, what was your? Do you remember your first match at World League Wrestling?
Oh yeah, man, definitely. Well, it depends on what you classify as match, because Bonsai or Ryan Tran, he was talking about it, and like my first actual match, we got all the WLW guys got pretty much loaned out to a guy that was running the show in, I want to say, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and so it was the whole WLW crew, but like his ring and his stuff. Excuse me. And I ended up wrestling. It was me and Trent Stone versus Darren Wade and the Vietnam Phenom Bao Win in a tag match. And that was something else. I mean, it was, of course, giggity like a little schoolgirl. I had a great time. Of course, they beat me. And then we ended up having a battle royal that night. And I don't think either of you have ever met the world's strongest woman, Becca Swanson.
No.
No.
Yeah. Well, she used to work for WLW, and like she's legit. At one time, she might still be. I don't want to say anything wrong, but she was legitimately the world's strongest woman, and she was learning to wrestle or training with us. And we did a battle royal, and I know Trevor Murdoch thought it would be hilarious if the new kid got beat up by the world's strongest woman. He just thought that would be the funniest thing ever. Well, the joke's on him, because I was all about that. I was like, yeah, let the world's strongest woman beat me up. Like some people are like, oh, I'm not gonna get beat up by her. She could literally bench press me like with one hand. So yeah, she can beat me up. That's fine.
I have to tell you this, but one darling Casey Nicole Gamblin said it was West Plains, Missouri.
See, she would know better than I would.
Okay.
She had a brain injury.
Shit. It's the concussions, man. It's the concussions.
Right.
All right, and then you had, you had a couple of matches. Actually, you spoke about Bale, and you had a couple of matches with him following that too. Defeats,
Yes.
I should say.
Yeah. I was about to say, it was great because
Not to push any buttons or try to get under your skin or anything. I'm just saying he beat you.
Oh, absolutely, and he beat me clean. It was great because he was so experienced at the time, and I mean he still is. But I was a dumb kid that thought I knew what wrestling was, and I got to be on quote unquote married to him on the road. I got to do I don't know anywhere between 3 to 9 shows, and it was just me and him in singles matches. So he was really taking me by the hand and being like, "This is how it's done," and I'm grateful for that because if I wouldn't have had that, and they were just like, "Yeah, go out there and figure it out," I don't think I ever would have figured it out.
He was on the show here just a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, and he was a really great guy to talk with. He had a lot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he has all kinds of stories from his California days to his Missouri days and now his WWE days. He's a great dude. Yeah.
I got a question. Did Becca Swanson bench press you?
No, I don't think she actually bench pressed me. I know she punched me in the face, and then she carried me out of the ring, like over her shoulder.
She carried you out of the ring over her shoulder.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it was that was how I got eliminated from that battle royal.
Okay, well, I guess that is what it is. What's you've been okay? So since 2009, you've been in and out of WLW for quite over 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
11, actually.
But yeah, I don't know math, but I've been there for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, all the way from Eldon. And made the move over here. Well, you're still over that direction, aren't you?
Yeah. I bought a house. I have a really good paying job here, so like this is just where I'm at.
That's cool. Moving into 2010, you had some matches against the likes of then Steve Fender. We lovingly know as Superstar Steve.
Superstar Steve. Yeah. He was another guy that I wasn't sure how to read because like he seemed very nice, but a lot of times when I got in the ring with him, he put me through the ringer. But it was one of those he was teaching me, and like to this day, I respect Steve so much because he taught me so much. Because I got put with him for a handful of shows, and honest to God, I couldn't hang with him. I couldn't keep up. My stamina wasn't there. I physically and mentally wasn't able to keep up with Steve Fender. So they shuffled it around. And then I didn't work him again for another, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years.
Well, even to this day, Steve still sets quite a high bar at World League Wrestling.
Oh, yeah. I love watching Steve work. It brings me joy. Definitely when he works like Young Lions, I'm like, hey, I remember that. I remember all this.
Remember your first chops from Steve?
Oh yeah, Steve was notorious for chops, and I knew that going in. But Trevor is also notorious for chops. Trevor Murdoch, and what they would do, they would wait until we're in a battle royal, and I'm the young guy at that time, so I'm gonna stand there and I'm gonna take chops, and I would get chopped by Steve in the chest, and then Trevor would overhand back chop me.
Oh.
And then I would, that would hurt so bad, I'd open my chest back up, and then Steve would chop me. And then Trevor would overhand back chop me. And that would go on until I just fell down. Because I was dumb, and I just stood there and took it.
Wow. I think...
Yeah, it was good times.
Standing outside the ring, and I've said this a few times on the show, the chops that I feel the most from outside the ring are Steve's... and Leland's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, both of those are pretty good chops. 4 people. One thing, hold on. Mark Fuji, Breaker, Elvis, and I have 4 people in my entire career that have chopped me so hard that it's bled, and that was Mara Fuji, Brian Breaker, Elvis Aliaga, and Lance Archer.
Now, I want, real quick.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Mark.
Okay.
Brian
Breaker
go ahead.
was
Go
just
ahead.
on a show not too long ago, and he basically said he had a big match coming up and got to choose his opponent for, to really make an impression, and he chose you.
Yeah, I think that was 2011 camp show, I think.
Yeah.
2010 camp show, maybe?
Yeah.
I was
I was very honored and nervous for that.
Right.
Go ahead, sorry.
I was just saying, I was wondering how that makes you feel to know that somebody, like Breaker would say that this is the guy I chose to have my best match.
Oh, it made me feel really good, and like it didn't make me. It made me a little nervous, but I worked with Breaker so much that it's like I knew what he was going to do. I knew he was going to take care of me, and I knew I could make him look like a monster. And that's kind of the angle we were going. It was funny because that show, we're trying to impress the WWE officials, and we're trying to impress the Japanese officials. And Japanese wrestling and American wrestling are 2 totally different things, where Japanese likes it one way, Americans hate it, or vice versa. So it was hard. We had to pick and choose parts of that match of, okay, this, William Regal will like this. The Japanese will like this. Like we had to put it together, and that was another really learning thing to know your audience for me.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the Japanese style because you did wrestle at Pro Wrestling Noah for a while, correct?
Yes, I got to go over there and do a 3-month dojo stay over there, which was amazing.
Tell us about that experience in the dojo there.
The dojo there, it was definitely different. There's over there in Japan, there's no like fly by night. Hey, I'm a professional wrestler now. You had to earn that. You lived in the same building. You ate together. You trained together, and training was insane.
And that was that with John? As
John,
high level enterprise, right?
Right. John got to go the year, I believe I was in the rec, or around that time, 2016. Or no, 2000. I don't know. John went and did a 3-month stay, came back, and then I want to say a year later, they were like, we want both of you to come over here and actually wrestle as high level enterprise. And we were like, sign us up. Let's do it.
And you got to, let's see, you got to team up with, Zack Sabre Jr.? You got to work with the lights of Davey Boy Smith Jr., Lance Archer, you mentioned. Shelton Benjamin, Brian Breaker, of course, back again.
Shane and Mikey.
Chris Hero,
Shane
Cabana.
Chris Hero, Cole Cabana. Shane Hayes now. Mikey Nichols. Or Shane Thorne now. I got to do a lot of stuff, and it was really cool because not only did I get to wrestle all those names and all these people that have done something, I got to, while I was over there, I got to fly to South Korea and wrestle 2 shows over in South Korea, and I actually had a singles match with Mara Fuji, which, to this day, it might have not been the greatest match in Mara Fuji's mind, but in my mind, he was happy with it. The office was happy with it. I can hang my hat on that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You also got to wrestle in a big match against Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah. That
Jesus,
was a big
man.
I was in there with a lot of people, but that was a big match towards the end, and that actually might have been the night John broke his nose. John got his nose broke by Brian Breaker, and then later that night it was me, Shane, Mikey, maybe Zach versus like Suzuki Gun, and it
was Minoru Suzuki, Takashi, Davey Boy, and Lance.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was another thing where they just you know, at that time, or in that setting, looking at that card, I'm the young boy. I'm the foreigner American, so I got the crap kicked out of me.
Can imagine.
Wow.
But I loved it.
Now I got to ask you about something, and
Okay.
because in the last we had John Webb on.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I probably
Okay.
changed
Stir
your
the
guys'
pot or
number.
anything.
But he said, and I quote, and Sarge just brought this up, and I forget, but he did say that he carried High Level Enterprise.
Oh, that's funny. He says that because he broke his nose and was on the shelf for some of that tour when I was not. So who really carried who there?
I'm not. It's not for me to
He didn't.
decide.
He didn't tell
It
you
is
about the broken nose and how he got
of course
awesome
not.
shows.
No, but
Yeah,
it does explain a
of course
lot.
not.
It does explain a lot now.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So-
John Webb. Oh, Joe Nathan.
Yeah. See, I it's not my job to make those decisions. You know, as to who did what and who didn't do what. It's my job to just bring out the facts by, I don't know, instigating a little bit in order to create controversy.
Yeah.
Because this is World League
Controversy
Wrestling.
is money.
So,
Right.
yes.
You know, I'd never instigate anything myself. So
Oh. No, and John don't need no help instigating anything because
No,
he does just fine on his own.
that is true. That is true. Being that you returned to WLW in 2015
Mhm.
with in a battle royal. Justin Dier, Evan Morris, yourself, Jake Grierson, Josh Callisto, Mike Outlaw, and Roy Lewis.
Oh yeah, that was a cam show, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, I do remember that. You got like stats, and it has to jog my memory, and I'm like, oh yeah,
man.
okay, I remember
That's what we're here for.
that.
But then again, you didn't come back to World League Wrestling until 2016.
No, I was trying to do my own wrestling here at the lake, and we had some shows here, and they were starting to contradict each other. Not contradict, but they were running the same time that WLW was running, and I can't be at two places at once. So I was like, oh, let me focus on this for a little bit, take a break from WLW, and then come back up when I have some time.
Yeah. Okay. That was actually Night of Champions too, I believe.
Yeah, I think I've been to a lot of them. I might have been to on all of them. I'm not sure anymore because I know the first one was Night of Champions with like Mark Henry. Was that a Night of Champions or no?
yep.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was in a tag match that night, then a battle royal, and then strap match with the old the Rose guy, Jaden Dominic, whatever his face is, and then the match with John.
That
yeah.
was one of the.
Yeah, because in 2017 you had the match with John for the junior heavyweight title.
At Night of Champions?
No, I was just saying at the at the arena in 2017.
Yeah, that was great because most people know John and I grew up together, so we were really close friends, and to finally have that stage to see who the best was, and then that fuckface beat me, that sucks. So now I don't talk to him.
Well,
that I remember that first Night of Champions in the strap match with JDR, and it was like I wasn't quite ready for the show, so I was there, but I was basically standing up against the wall watching the whole show, and I'm watching
What?
you guys go at it, and I'm thinking I'm supposed to keep control of this when I get up there.
Well, go ahead.
Nick Brashears wants to know, and I've heard this, this is the big thing on the internet right now, is everybody's giving their Mount Rushmore of wrestling. So Nick would like to know, who is on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling? What four wrestlers are on your Mount Rushmore?
Oh, see, mine's gonna be kind of corny because I didn't really go out and about and get all the guys that were coming up. So if I had to pick out of just favorites of mine, it'd be Marufuji, probably Kenta, Shawn Michaels, and Austin.
Really?
Yeah, because that's who I watch. Like the WWE era, that's what I watched. And then when I finally started getting into Japanese wrestling, I watched Marufuji, I watched Kenta, and I was like, I want to be like these guys.
Huh. I would have never even thought that.
So yeah, and it's weird because like to do that, like I think it's cool everybody does their Mount Rushmore, but it's hard for me to narrow down to 4 because I find pretty much any wrestler I've ever watched, I can be like, I like that little piece. Ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like how he does this, and I try to put it in the big stirring pot, and that's how I like to do it. I try to take something from everybody.
All right then. You got any good Harley stories? That you can tell on the air. That you can tell.
Okay.
On the air.
I have 2 come to mind. Like we were talking how intimidating he was. When I first got to the training center, this is back when it was still in Eldon, in the paper place, and Harley was there, and I showed up to training early, and he's like sitting there, and he's like, "Hey, Ethan." Well, Ethan wasn't there yet. It was just me. So I was like, "Yeah, boss." He's like, "Go buy me some Diet Coke." I'm like, "Yeah, no problem." So I leave to go get him Diet Coke, and Breaker filled me in on this story later. He was like, "Yeah," Harley was like, "Yeah, I sent Ethan to go get me Diet Coke." Breaker goes, "Ethan's right here. So who did you send?" And Harley goes, "How am I ever going to remember these kids' damn name if they don't correct me?" So, so from that, because I wasn't going to correct him. He wanted Diet Coke. I'm going to get the man Diet Coke. He's a legend. But from that day on, I did correct him until he learned my name.
How long did that take?
It only took, so that was probably June, July, a little after August. Once I started being on the shows and not just a trainee, he started to pick up on my name. And then the other good one is John Webb and I and Harley went to, Cameron, Missouri, maybe, for an autograph signing. And then that night, it was a Friday night, and then we're going to do the show Saturday. We went to the bar, and we were shooting pool and having a few drinks, and some frat guys were being frat guys. And like they were getting on my nerves. I could tell John was getting aggravated. And then they shot a pool ball, and it bounced and hit Harley in the leg. And like we all stood up, like, "Oh, here it comes!" It's like, "How dare you do that?" And Harley kind of put his hand up and was like, "They're not fucking worth it." And I said, "Oh, okay." And then they left. But I thought we were going to fight for Harley's honor, like I really did.
Oh, I tell you what, and then of course you got to be around the legendary BJ.
Oh yeah, BJ was something else too, because she was a hard person to read. But man, she knew the business in and out, like when it comes to money and this and that, and you got to be there on time. BJ was good, definitely good.
What has been your most? What was your hardest match? You think your hardest opponent in World League Wrestling?
In World League Wrestling?
Yeah. I'll ask that twice. Once in World League Wrestling, and then once, ever anywhere.
In World League Wrestling, it's probably a toss up because I wrestled a lot of people there. Steve Anthony, was one, because he was my first original trainer, and I only got in the ring with him a handful of times, and he was really tough. But like the toughest one, I'd have to say Superstar Steve, because and he's superstar Steve. He don't take no crap off nobody.
Oh, that's true.
Oh yeah, for sure. What about in everywhere you've been?
Everywhere I've been, Suzuki comes to mind, but honestly, it would probably be Segura. I had a tag match. It was me and John versus Harada and Segura. And at that time, Segura scared the crap out of me. Like, I was watching his videos on how he worked, and he was beating the living piss out of people. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Because John's, a little shorter than I am. Him and Harada are going to do some stuff. And then me and Segura are going to do some stuff. So I was very nervous for that. He took care of me, but I knew at any moment if he wanted to eat my lunch, he could have.
Very good, very good.
You and John traveled as high level enterprise quite a bit. I wanted to ask. I remember being at a local show, not too far back, and you guys fought the Black Hand Warriors, and you sprinkled some Legos onto the match, Matt.
Yeah.
This is something that's always played on my brain. I just figured now I got you here and I can ask you. What possesses a person to bring out Legos as good as they are at ticking a person off in the middle of the night?
He was out of
walking?
tax.
What possesses a person to bring Legos?
Everybody thinks it's gonna be tax. And then when you put the Legos out, that surprise factor is where it is at. And Legos, like, I didn't take the blunt end of that Lego thing,
Right.
but that hurt. John Webb and I versus the Black Hand Warriors, we had that was probably one of my favorite tag teams to wrestle against, definitely here in the States, because they took care of us. They had great ideas. They were good workers. Because we did that one, the one you're talking about with Legos, and then a month later, they wanted us to do it again with no disqualification, anything goes. So we, of course, did Legos again, but we did like the Mega Block Legos, the real fat, big ones. Yeah,
Ouch.
and that's the same. That's the same night where Michael Magnuson lit a welder's glove on fire and punched me in the face. Because I'm not gonna lie, I am a fan of hardcore wrestling. You just can't get away with it a lot in Missouri. But if I could, man, I'd do it all the time.
Where was that at?
That was in Glen Carbon, Illinois. I have a video. I'll send it to you later, and it's just a little clip. Because he already hit me with a chain. I'm busted open. I got the prison mask. I stand up. He lights his hand on fire, and he potatoes me right in the eye. Gave me a big old swole black eye. It was good time.
What Austin, I know, is we got a guy on here, Austin, who is
Ravens?
no, Mulatalo, who is talking about coming to the academy to learn to wrestle, and he wants to know if you have any advice for young guys coming into wrestling.
Graduate. Have a backup plan. Is what I tell everybody. I know that's kind of cliche, but everybody wants to main event Mania, but only usually 2 people do it out of the millions that want to. You know what I mean? So have a backup plan and get in shape, because I don't. It's funny. For as long as I've been at WLW, we have tryouts come in all the time, and I guess some people, they think since they quote unquote know the business and they think it's fake, like they don't even they can't even do a push-up, and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna be a wrestler, but I can't do a push-up. Like, wrestling's physically demanding, and there's cardio, and then there's in-ring cardio, and they are 2 vastly different things. So I say get in shape the best you physically can, and have a backup plan, because not everybody's going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
That's true.
I mean, after the show at the bar, they can, but
What's that?
I
Well,
was
yeah.
just thinking,
Well, and like
grab a beer and pour it.
right. Well, and don't get me wrong, because like you guys have seen me, I'm shape. I'm not in shape, but I've had that repetition of years of doing it. So it's still, to me, comes pretty easy. But guys that have never done it, they see it on TV. Like here's Breaker and I talk about this. You guys ever watch figure skating?
Somewhat.
No, I'm
No?
going to say no. I'm going to say no. I never
Okay.
have ever because I'm a man. Because I'm a man, a man's man, and we do not watch figure skating.
Right. But like you never went, oh, I could do that. Right? Like that takes hard training and talent. But for wrestling, for some reason, people see it on TV and they're like, oh, I can do that. And then they show up. And it's not as easy as a lot of people think it is.
Right. Get a little bit of a bicep going, and you think you can be the best guy in the business.
Oh yeah. There were guys. We used to tell stories of guys that would just show up to training as tryouts, and then you would never see them again. Like they'd come, they'd try out, and then they would just never come back.
I've seen that a few times in my short time.
In your here,
Exactly. So
here we've got some new this young Lions division, and some new wrestlers have come out of that from the academy. How does that young Lions division? How do you feel about that? Watching these kids come up and seeing what they're able to do and how they've taken to it.
I enjoy it. I think it's good for them, but they're only going to get so good wrestling each other. When I came up, you got in there with a vet. They're wrestling. You got two young lions wrestling each other a lot of times, but I think it's good. And I've wrestled almost all the young lions. I still have to wrestle Moses. I still have to wrestle Sean Patrick, if we still call him a young lion. And then I think I went through all of them. Oh, and then I want to wrestle Elaney.
Really?
You are damn skippy. I've already told her. I want to wrestle her.
Ready.
And in the state of Missouri, it's legal. So I say if she can get it done, I'll wrestle her, because I think she deserves the same opportunity everybody else deserves. Everybody else has been training just like she has, and they are all getting put on the show in wrestling. So I'll wrestle her.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we just don't have a women's division at this time.
Right. So, like I said, in the state of Missouri now, it is legal for men to wrestle women. It's okay. It's sanctioned by the athletic commission. So I have to wrestle all the young lions. I'm like, as I take from a double A or A squared, as I call them, Aaron Anderson. He used to be the gatekeeper for a company down in Oklahoma, and like you had to go through him to prove yourself. And I kind of feel like that's how I want to be. Yeah. I love that there's new competition. I love that there's new young guys hungry, wanting to be better. CTV, De La Suede, all these guys, they want to be better. And it's like, I can make you better. Let's wrestle. I can get in there with you. And like, I look back at when I wrestled Steve and I wrestled Bonsai, I want to do with the Young Lions what those guys did for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of watching you wrestle Stephon Newton in Richmond that last show, and that was, he went in there thinking, hey, and, well, you said ho-ho.
Right.
And
Was that when he was wrestled in a dress?
And
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Stephon Newton had to wear a dress.
And, I mean,
that's right. And I want to put that out there
pull
because I hope he comes on the show
He
sometime.
was in a dress, and I have to put Stephon Newton over just a little bit. I don't want to give him a big head or nothing, but I did a dive in that match.
Yes.
And his head bounced off the ground so hard.
Yeah.
He don't
I was
remember.
Standing there. I was right there with
Yeah,
the
he
camera
was very
at the time, and I caught that, and I heard his head hit,
Yes.
and I wasn't sure if it was a foot
Yes.
or what it was, but I tell you what, it was loud.
And see, he did well. I threw him back in. He seemed fine. After the match, I realized he was very concussed. And I was like, you know what? You held your own, and I have to give him a little props for that, because he was very concussed and kind of not even knowing where he was at when it was over. And I was like, but you made it through it. That's what it's all about.
You have problems with his attitude at times, but the drive that young man has is
because he's a silver spoon piece of crap.
But anyway, Nick Brashears wanted to ask, what's your favorite match you've wrestled, and what's the favorite match you've ever seen?
Favorite match, that would be Taker and Shawn, WrestleMania 25, because I was actually there, like live in Houston.
Cool.
It was amazing, and it's funny because that match was so good. The next match after, Triple H and Orton actually closed the show. That match was really good too. We were just tired. We were tired of cheering because Shawn and Taker stole it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Favorite match I was ever in? There's a list of them. Pretty much anytime I was in there with the Black Hand Warriors, I always really enjoyed those because the chemistry always came off well. My matches with Elvis were good. Breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Leland have had some good ones because, we've been wrestling since 2009 here in Elvin.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's hard to really narrow it down. And, I'm very proud of the Marufuji match. All my Japan matches I've really enjoyed. So it's hard for me to pick one because I'm just blessed that I've got to do what I've got to do so far. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, how about this? The golden eagle of all questions.
Okay.
Your bucket list match. Who?
Ooh.
If you had the chance to wrestle one person right now, who would that be?
Alive or dead?
How about one of each?
Or my current roster?
Okay.
One of each?
Yeah.
Oh, well, dead Abraham Lincoln.
Come on. Well, he was a wrestler.
I hear rumors.
Exactly.
He was a wrestler.
No,
yeah.
No, as
but would you want to wrestle? Well, hold on. I got to ask
is.
you this question. Would it be Abraham Lincoln that we read in the history books, or the Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Slayer?
Oh, I'll take one of each. Tag match.
Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Okay.
No, I don't know.
Bad movie reference.
Bucket list. See, I don't know. I would like to step in the ring with really anybody. Vader would have been a really fun one because I got to know Vader a little bit. I got to drive him around when he was down here, and we chit chatted. And like I said, the way he made Shawn look, Shawn was good, but Vader made him look even better because Vader was so big. I think that would be a good one. I love to step in the ring with Kevin Nash because Kevin Nash was always one of my favorites, at least in the WCW days, even though the whole NWO thing was a mess. But I always liked Kevin Nash, too.
Okay. What about somebody like AJ Styles or
See, I would love to
Adam
work
Cole
at AJ Styles, Adam Cole. The thing is with those guys, I wouldn't be able to keep up with them. They are, and that's just me being honest. They are way better than I am, and it would be like a little check mark in my head, but to them it would be nothing, and it wouldn't even probably be a good match for them. I would love to get in there with those guys like a Daniel Bryan or AJ, Adam Cole, all these guys, but I mean, it's not going to probably be good.
Well, I've been as close as anyone can be while you're wrestling, and I've seen you get tired, and I've seen you dig down, reach up and pull it up from the bottom. I don't know, man. I kind of think you're in a little bit better shape than you think you are.
Shape.
Well, like I said,
Shape
it's one of
Go ahead.
right. I was saying it's just one of those things. I've done so many repetitions of getting dropped on my head and getting back up that it's almost like second nature for me to get back up. But if I really had to pick somebody that I was like, you know what, me and him are gonna one-on-one and we're gonna steal the show, I would wrestle Dolph Ziggler.
Oh yeah,
Because Dolph Ziggler would make me look good.
So, man, I'm not going to go there. That is a whole conversation. Dolph Ziggler is a whole show, really. You could talk about Dolph Ziggler and how damn good he is for a whole show.
Right, and I agree. And pretty much anything he's in, he makes what he can of it. And I'm like, yeah, I would like to work him. That would be fun. I got to meet him one time. He was super nice, and he could have been super nice just because he was there, but he was nice to me, so I was happy.
Well, as we clear off the desk here and start getting ready to head home, any last-minute plugs or anything you want to put out there before we head on out?
Oh yeah, of course. They can always follow me on Twitter at Jack Gamble HLE. Instagram, Jack Gamble HLE. We got a pro wrestling t-shirt store, prowrestlingtees.com/high level. And then anybody in the area or anybody listening, July 11th, WLW is running again. Unfortunately, I will not be there, but they should come, show their support. That way we can have more shows down the road.
Absolutely. As we get back to our regularly scheduled programming and get back moving again. So.
Right.
Hey, Jack, thanks, man. Appreciate you being on the show.
Yeah, it's great having you, man.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Easy, quick talk. It was nice.
All right, brother. We will talk to you. We'll see you down the road. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Take care.
Later.
Former multiple-time World League Wrestling Tag Team Champion Jack Webb. Been around since 2009 here in World League Wrestling, and got to travel quite a bit, and a lot to tell, a lot to not to show, and
he's been
certainly more gas in the tank.
Right, he's been through the ringer, and he's excited to get back into it too. So,
as he did mention, next Saturday, July 11th, World League Wrestling will be at it again in the Race Wrestling Arena in Troy, Missouri. Doors open at 6. Bell time is at 7. Yeah.
Ready to...
man.
I'm jumping out of my skin.
Yeah, I will be going down there tomorrow to set the sound system back up and get everything ready for TV, for production again. And, man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Also, I'm going to announce, since I finally get to be the breaker of breaking news at World League Wrestling that nobody has heard yet, and that news is this: next Sunday, right here on the show with Martin and I, right here on WLW Amplify, will be the one and only Jaden Dominic Rose.
That's going to be fun. He's been through a lot in his career. He's done a lot of different things. He's won a lot of different titles. And I can't wait to just get him up here to talk for you guys. His stories are good. He's a great guy to talk to. He's got a lot of information that he can impart.
Oh yeah.
So,
who has just made a comeback?
That's right.
Right before all this hit, he had just made a comeback. Him and Superstar Steve. And we're certainly glad to see him back with a little bit different attitude than what he had before.
Yes, it is. It's
taking up for the young lions a little bit.
Yeah, and he's also ran afoul of the Empire because of that.
Which, we're going to talk with him about that whenever we get him on here next Sunday.
Right, not that we want to, stir the pot or
I'm not going to stir the pot. Well, okay, I might instigate a little bit because, I like to breed controversy. It's fun. I like to see what happens when you throw stuff at the wall enough times, it's liable to stick once in a while. You know what I'm saying? So, exactly. That being said, big thank you to all of our sponsors at World League Wrestling, Jim Chineri Chevrolet in Troy, Jim Chineri Ford in Moscow Mills, Impact Digital Design, CT Harrison Business Solutions, and Traveling East Productions, and of course, all our fantastic fans out there in World League Wrestling. I hope we will see you guys on the 11th in Troy at the Race Wrestling Arena.
Hope to see you on the 11th and hear from you on the 12th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, okay, that was bad. Anyhow, all right, folks, we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next week right here on WLW Amplify. Good night, everybody.